Okay, here we go, here we go, here we go. Back again with you. It's ready for episode number 16. We are two plant-based brothers. My name is William the Teacher, and this is my brother.
Daniel the Wannick Beard on the trail.
That's right. That's right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. This is it. You can see behind me, it is the end of 2025, and we thought we would kind of just recap it, the good, the bad, the ugly, with whatever happened, and just kind of give our insights on that, and definitely ask that you do this with yourself as well. I mean, you can do whatever you want; it's your life. But I think it's good to reflect. I try to do daily reflections on how my day went and
Nice.
looking for ways to improve. I'm lucky enough to have a long train ride, which I can kind of
Nice.
be by myself. I don't have to focus on driving, and I can reflect on the day and work on a plan for tomorrow. So it works for me. I don't know about you guys. So how you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to kind of closing this chapter in 2025 as we'll get into.
Yeah.
I used to do like the bus ride into downtown. I did not use that productively like you. I used to watch Marvel movies and I binge watched like the entire MCU universe when I used to do that. Nowadays I don't have a commute, but I love that you're doing that reflection. I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do the whole thing. I got about an hour door to door, right? And so I'll play around on my phone. I'll check a few things out. I'll listen to podcasts or music, but it's okay to do two things at once. But usually every day I spend at least 10, 15 minutes of that
Nice.
travel trying to focus on what went well, and what didn't go so well, and how we can make improvements. So I think it's a great thing to do, and that's what we're gonna do with 2025. Although I'm gonna stick pretty much a lot of positives here, and
Mhm.
think about that. I think overall it was a pretty good year, pretty epic actually. And I'm definitely not going to talk politics. It's not something we're going to do. At least we haven't planned on it. So I don't want to get into that part of it because that would take the epic right out of it. And you might add another four-letter word after the epic if you want to talk about that in the United States. But we'll see how that goes. And everyone, hey, whatever you like, go for it. It's your life. But we're going to talk about ours, and hopefully you join us on this journey and share some of your comments. So, Daniel, 2025 rough one a little bit here.
Just
Big
a bit.
deal. We talked about in the episode. Gosh, I don't know if that was episode 4. It was a while back.
Mhm.
But tell us about your 2025.
Yeah, no, like after like zooming out, right, the whole year practically, we're, sitting here, this will come out just before the end of the year. And it was just a heck of a ride and a lot of learning opportunities. So I know you're talking about kind of really positive epic year for yourself. I also don't want to be that guy of half glass or glass half empty sort of thing. So there's certainly everything happens for a reason. So I'm a full believer in that. So my whole journey this year is for a much bigger reason. And weirdly enough, like when like towards the beginning of the year, March diagnosed with tonsil cancer, as we shared in episode 4. I went into the whole journey of treatment and recovery with a pretty positive outlook on it, thinking, okay, this is my speed bump, this is my test. The cancer I was diagnosed with had a 95% success rate with treatment, and I would like to think that the 5% that didn't survive, however, probably older or other health issues on top of what they were diagnosed with. And so I went into a very positive, like, okay, this is my journey, this is my way of being tested again. And with that C word, that elephant in the room. And so going through that, I think it just turned into something really physically and mentally, emotionally, spiritually hard at the halfway point of the year, that we talked about. And so that was really rough. And I think really rough on my wife as well, taking care of our kids, taking care of our business. We had just opened up our larger coffee shop in March when I was diagnosed. So financially, we were really strained this year and continue to be strained. So that was a huge hurdle that we're still trying to overcome. And I think all of that, if I say, kind of led me to a recovery where I am now. I physically 95% back. I think mentally I'm much further away from a recovery. And so it led me to therapy. And I mentioned this to us when we actually tried to record this episode last week, but my kids gone.
Did we?
Maybe we'll do a blooper reel of some sort. Um, so like mentally, it led me to therapy at the end of this year, which I've always been a proponent for, but I've never actually done. I've done life coaching with colleagues before, which has been very beneficial. A lot of self work, a lot of personal development over the last 5, 6 years. But that's something that I hadn't done, and I'm seeking help because I think mentally I thought I was recovered, and it turns out I'm not. And I'm still going through that. And so that's when I say 2025 kind of gave me that positive of actually asking for help, seeking for help, which I think, and I don't know if you relate to this, William, because I think you said last week I am your therapist,
This
but
is my therapy right here.
typically, guys, it might be harder for us to seek that external help and ask for help outside of maybe our inner circles, and maybe sometimes, and I know you and I are very similar, our inner circles are very tiny. We don't have a big inner circle, and so I needed, and my mind needed external help and a professional, and I'm not afraid to say that. I'm very happy to say that I needed help, and I still need help, and I'm seeking it. And I think a lot of people out there may be hesitant, resistant to do that. We're all going through something. And there's a wealth of resources out there. So it's kind of the gist of my 2025. I think that was a long monologue. But yeah, how about you? Get into
Yeah,
the
no,
nitty
well,
gritty.
first of all, I just want to say, once again, how, I'm just very proud of you and everything that you did. And I think, how you fought and you didn't quit and you kept pushing no matter how hard it got. And I know your wife was a big, God, you couldn't have done it without her, right? And then,
No, no,
moving forward, I just want to say that it was, I think you should be very proud of the work that you put in and what you're doing now. I think you should be very proud of, and continuing to look at this and see it as a bump in a road, and hopefully one day it'll be in the past and be like the next thing that comes up. It's like, oh yeah, well, I can do this. I know I can do this. I've done worse. I've beat worse. I've done it. So it is something that you think about, and it's part of life, and people go through it. But you really did it. You did it, man, and you're continuing to do it, and very proud of you. So
appreciate
on that note, before I kind of go into mine, I have a list of things, and I was trying to think. I've been reflecting on this as I walk around, and that's something going on long walks. You have a lot of time. You listen to
it.
music and things like that, but I have a lot of time to think and to
Mhm.
process.
Yeah.
And just trying to think if there was just one highlight, and like what was the best thing that I did this year. And it's difficult because I think there's a lot of really cool things, and I want to kind of get into that. But professionally, for me, I took a chance and actually presented at a national conference, and I'm not going to get into my job too much, but they call me William the Teacher for a reason. Although I don't teach that much. I'm in the field of education, and to stand up there on that stage and present in front of people that you're a little afraid of, and
Mhm. Yeah.
experts in your field, it felt really good. So that professional, that for me professionally was probably the highlight.
Cool.
Personally, it's hard to say because I think there was one point in the year, Daniel, and you guys who've watched all the episodes have seen my map where I was working out of a road atlas. Every street I've walked in San Diego, I've marked off. And at one point, I came to work and I just cut it all out and I put it on my wall. So now it's
Mhm.
it's at my wall at work, and I can see it, I can look at it, and it's just such an accomplishment. And that wasn't just 2025;
Right.
that was years of work
Hmm.
and just seeing it. And I still find new places to go. I still find things to cross off. But just having that reflection to look back at what you've done instead of just being page by page, to see it on a wall was pretty epic for me
Yeah.
personally. And so I would say those would be my highlights. So, taking that, what would be your highlight, you think, for your number one thing, positive, great thing that you accomplished this year?
It's beating cancer, right? So
Yeah.
getting
So
that
it's
PET
it's actually
scan
like the worst thing that happened
and the
to you
best thing. No, correct,
and
correct.
best
And
thing.
that's the reflection that's also you when you're going through it, right? And right now the season I'm going through in my mind feels very dark. Like most of my days are filled with depression and anxiety, right? But reflecting on like the past helps that psychology as well of just like, wow, you're able to do that, and that was really hard. And that was a really big test, but you came through it. And so that challenge that I find myself is like I can wrap my head around the physical piece of it, the science, the logical, components of getting through cancer, of radiation and chemotherapy are going to kill the cancer. It's going to kill a lot of other things in your body, but that will come back. Physically, boom, come back, right? So I feel like that very black and white in a way where I can wrap my mental mind around it. And that's what the tricky part is the other stuff that I get to overcome. But it's that same thing. It's just that new challenge, as you said, that I can
Mhm.
take hey, you were able to do that. Now go and do this, right? This is actually, we'll call it easier, right? Definitely easier physically, right? To overcome these things. And so that does excite me. It helps me try to, live every day, I think purposefully. And something I was thinking about when you were talking is that this year, and I've always prescribed to like core values, what my core values are. And I established these probably like 5 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And it's family, number one, health and inner harmony. So those are my three core values, things that hold most dear to me. And this year, family as number one, I really did feel so accomplished in that. We spent so much time together. My kids were my caregivers too this year. And then as the fall came around and I was starting to get better physically, both kids were in sports, soccer and baseball, and I got to be present for that. And we got to practice together. Now we're actually practicing outdoors together, just as a family, and that feels really good as like a time and accomplishment because you have two grown girls, right? And that time goes so fast, especially as you reflect on it and you look at those little pictures of their cute little faces, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm really holding on to those moments. And then where I get to go to, and that's where we'll preview for next week's episode, is 2026. Are those other two with health and inner harmony that I get to work on, but don't want to give anything away for that episode just yet. But
Yeah,
family has
but
been a big
teaser.
win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it's really funny you mentioned that a long time ago. Let's just say it was 2008.
Mhm.
I lost my job, and it was
Right.
through no fault of my own, honestly. Although you reflect on it and go, well, there's probably things I could have done and things like that, but it was just not a good year. But I really was able to spend a lot more time with my children and really understand about, not working 60 hours a week. And I didn't want to go back to that business. That was the restaurant industry, in case you're wondering,
Right.
and not wanting to go back to that. And I decided at that point to go back to school, right, and do something where I could have more time with these kids and weekends and these kinds of things, the dance recitals and things like that. But just being in a car and driving up to mom and dad's and singing our songs, we have such really good memories of these times, and it was a negative that turned into a positive like that.
Right.
So yeah, I totally feel that. This year, for me personally, got to visit uh, the country of Turkey, and it was for work, so I did do that. But I saw some beautiful things. I don't know if have you ever been to Istanbul?
I have not. It's on my list. I can't wait to
Yeah,
go.
I would highly recommend, just checking out the whole city, but seeing Hagia Sophia. and the Blue Mosque, which is almost like right across the street. These historical places, and just being able to walk through. You're talking about, we're from California, right? Well, and there were people before the Europeans came, but the people really didn't build many things. I mean, or stuff that lasted. And even, you think about what's the oldest thing, the oldest building you could go to in California. It's like a mission, probably somewhere in the 15,
Right.
1600s. And you got stuff in Europe and places like that. And this is on the European side of Istanbul, which it has the Asian side, the European side. This is like 1,000 years old or something like that. Don't quote me on that. You can Google it yourself. But like some old stuff, man. And it's really, really cool. So I felt very blessed to get that done, even though I was working a lot too. What would you say was the best, like maybe trip you took, or the best thing you saw traveling this year?
Yeah, no, that would be by far just after diagnosis of cancer. We already had a trip booked in March that we went on, and it was to Portugal and Morocco.
Wow.
And that was just amazing. Portugal, I just fell in love with. We were in Lisbon, had like just a fantastic time. The city is so vibrant, very vegan friendly also,
Mhm.
and just had a really, really wonderful time. And then Morocco was basically a road trip around the entire country. And it was so much fun just being with family. So my wife's side of the family, I kind of put on the trip our her brother-in-law, and so like that was just fun just hanging out in a car. Like there was a lot of driving, like 7 hour like road trip parts,
Wow.
stints at times in a big Sprinter van type thing, very comfortable, and just get to hang out and have fun. And with the heavy news and a lot of unknowns, I found it hard to concentrate, but also a lot of time just to think. And it was just fun just to explore and see, a place I've never been, which I hadn't been to Morocco before, and it was a lot of fun. And then I would say just the other one, we went to Mexico most recently, and that was kind of like bookends of like I think cancer, and so like the beginning of it to recovery, and that in itself, which we talked about I think on an episode a few back about was just fun, and that was just hanging out with my family.
Yeah, and if you missed the travel episode, check it out. There's more to talk about. But yeah, we also did one with the ballpark episode, so I can
Yeah,
recap that one.
yeah.
Going to places like seeing ballparks in Denver, two
Hmm.
different ones in Chicago. Saw the Cubs and the White Sox at two different times. One in April when it was freezing, and then one in
Yeah.
August where it was nice. And it should have been really hot, but it was a pleasant week in August that I saw the White Sox play. It was a horrible team, and went to Denver, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Cincinnati, Cleveland. Even saw a minor league game in Dayton. Not the best venue actually. If you want to see minor league baseball, it's much better to go to Fort Wayne, Indiana, the greatest minor league ballpark there is.
Two
Uh,
cups.
yeah, yeah, tin caps last 2 years. We've gone 24, 25, and teaser. I plan on going in 26. So those were the great journeys. Did you cross any new ballparks off this year, or had you? Because you're way ahead of me. I'm
Yeah,
curious.
yeah, I don't think this year we did any ballparks. We went to the World Series this year, but that's
That's pretty
obviously
cool, man. I have never been to a World Series before, so
yeah. So that was
yeah,
that was huge. Even though they lost that particular game, we still got to see Shohei pitch, so that was kind of fun, in its own right. Just and had a really fun, obnoxious Blue Jay fan in front of us, which made the game interesting. So we had a really great time.
yeah. And then
No new players.
check out that other episode called Sports Fandom, where our oldest brother joins us. So this is just a reason for us to plug
You're
old
right.
shows.
It is. It's right.
But speaking of that, I mean, honestly, Daniel, I gotta say, I'm not gonna get all touchy-feely emotional, but being able to spend more time with you has
Yeah,
been has
that's
been a
great.
real pleasure, because I honestly we live in the same we don't live in the same city, but we live in the same metropolitan area,
Yeah.
right? And this year, having the opportunity to do not one but two 24-hour endurance races with you
Yep.
was epic for me personally.
Same.
And then to just start this thing, I'm just walking down the street and I'm just like, why don't we just do this? And I just called you and said, hey, do you want to start a YouTube channel? You're like, Yeah, sure. When you want to start, let's do it, man.
Yeah.
And 16 episodes in, and it's been great. So thank you very much because that's part of my highlights of 2026 and 2025 is doing this stuff and saying making mistakes like lipstick. Check out last episode or 2 episodes ago if you're wondering what that's about. Or the
William
4 minute
William
mile.
wears
Remember
it.
that one? I do four
I
minute
do.
miles. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some really good nuggets there. No, and I would completely agree with you. I look forward to, we record on Mondays. I look forward to Monday afternoons every single week. We've, got it on the calendar. William knows that now that it's on the calendar and there's a link to the Zoom. And I look forward to every week because it is again, like you said, just fun just to hang out with you, spend time with you, talk about the things we're talking about. I think it keeps things interesting. We don't know where this is going to take us, but happy to have just started it and 16 episodes in feels really great. Yeah, I mean, we've been dang consistent.
Yeah. And not only that, it's just it's just another way to, like we always talk, I always mention every week that this is a journey and we're on a journey and this is just a new journey that we're going through doing this. And once again, it just I say thank you to every single person who actually watches this thing. And we're like 20 some minutes in. So if you've made it 20 minutes, congratulations. Most people don't watch this far, so they don't know that I said thank you. But for those hardcore fans, really appreciate it. And it's great. Another thing that I wanted to mention this year was, obviously I'm representing here,
Right.
but there's something that, when you get to see your children do something that they love and something that they're really good at, it's just there's a lot of joy in that. And being able to see my daughter perform on the field for SDSU football games for halftime, these last 2 years, and for pregame, halftime, it's not as good as the winter guard shows, which she can be a little bit more right.
Mhm.
And winter guard coming up, looking very forward to this year's or next year's show, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
But having the opportunity, just feeling so blessed to be able to go to these shows still and still support her.
Mhm.
It's one of those things that she's been doing now 8 years, and she's so dang good at it
Yeah.
and just so talented. But when SDSU uses your kid to put on the Instagram story, of you know football season is here, that's pretty darn cool,
That
man.
is really cool, man.
It's
It's a
pretty
huge
cool.
school, and that's why I think it's such an accomplishment. And she really is amazing at it. And as an uncle, I'm also I'm not probably not equally as excited as you are, obviously your dad, but I get just as excited when I see stuff like that.
Yeah. And so just another year in the books for color guard, for at least for fall, but the winter guard's going to start up in 2026. We'll talk about a little bit in just check back next week. You know, check back next week. We'll talk about it. But any other closing notes on 2025 before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I think we hit a lot of it. Maybe I joined a gym. We joined a gym, so that's maybe another preview into next week's episode and where that gets to take me and my health journey. So yeah, I think that was maybe it. Feel good.
Yeah, and then I can't think of anything else, but overall, I gotta say that it's every year has its ups and downs. Every year has its challenges. When you look back on 12 months, yeah, there's going to be good times, there's going to be bad times. But, there's a lot of stuff that's made me angry this year. And once again, I don't want to talk about it, but I actually protested this year. I actually got out into the streets and marched, and it's something
Good.
I'd never
Good.
done.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I might have to continue doing it. Also, this year I did submit my application to try to gain my Canadian citizenship. They're
Yes.
really backed up right now. I thought it was told it's going to be 5 months. Now it's looking like it's going to take closer to a year just to get an answer. But my birthright, we'll talk about that again in next episode. But
Yeah.
that's it for me on 2025.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank
Same.
you very much, everyone. We will see you again in 2026. Happy New Year to everyone. Be safe, be smart, make good choices,
Yeah.
uh, and let's all get to that next year healthy and happy.
Yes. Peace.
Peace.